So my friend Travis and I are putting on this conference in South Florida November 2nd through the 4th, and I would love for you to check it out. Go to dobigthings.net. We are all about inspiring folks like yourself to take action on their big dreams. Whatever your dream is. A little bit over a year ago, I took action on my big dream to leave the full-time software sales job and to do this full-time. And it's amazing. And our goal is to help you, whatever your big thing is, to make that happen. Whether it's to start a school in Sudan, or is to create your own business, or maybe it's just to really kill it in your sales this next year. Whatever your goal is, whatever your big thing is, we're here to help you. We're going to have a lot of great folks who are doing big things as presenters, telling you what they're doing, give you a full blueprint. I would love for you to check it out. dobigthings.net. Again, dobigthings.net. So recently I was asked by a listener a question, and I thought it would be great to share this with everyone and to share my answer. It came around talking to executive. I can tell you as a new seller, I had a really difficult time with this one. You're going to love this episode. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist podcast. I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you, coming to you from down south in South Florida. Yes, the hurricane has gone by, at least one of them, and we're still standing. A little bit wet, but we're still standing. Hopefully we don't have a bad hurricane season this year, and pray for those who've had encounters with the hurricane, with different storms throughout the world. So, but today we're going to have a great discussion. I love to bring real life discussion, real life topics on these episodes to talk to you about them so you can apply them, because I feel that if someone asks this question, it's more than likely affecting more of us. And recently I've been seeing a lot more interaction with folks who are telling me they're new to sales or career changing or came into this field, finding a little bit of difficulty, a little bit of challenge. Hope this episode can give you some insights. But before we dive into all the fun stuff, before we jump into that goody, your boy has to give some shout outs, right? So I'm going to jump over to Twitter. I know a lot of people have been jumping and connecting with us on Twitter recently. I really, really appreciate it. Want to give some shout outs to you specifically. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Donald C. Kelly. You can find me on Twitter, Donald C. Kelly. You can find me on Instagram, Donald C. Kelly. You can also connect with us on Facebook and LinkedIn. We have groups there. They're called the Sales Evangelizers. Both are the same group, but it provide an opportunity for folks who are on LinkedIn to check that out, and people who are on Facebook can check it out. But it's the Sales Evangelizers. Check them out. Would love to have you join that with us. I want to give a big shout out this week to Black Style Houston. Thank you guys so much for the shout out connection on Twitter. Also want to give a huge shout out this week to a couple more folks out there in the Twitter world. Global, Miss Global, thank you so much. Keep going, Global girl. Keep hustling out there. Appreciate all the great connection that you've been throwing our way. See you spend some time in the Caribbean. I love the Caribbean. Also, Brian Brushwood, thank you for connecting, Brian. Really appreciate that. And also want to give a huge shout out this week to Michael Rash. Thank you so much for connecting with me. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to connect with me again, find me on those places, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I'm always hanging out, man. Or you can connect with our Facebook groups, the Sales Evangelizers, both on LinkedIn and on Facebook. But let's get to this question at hand. Someone asked me this question, and I want to make sure that I helped you out as much as possible. I want to help you out in any way that I can, if it's an advice or a tip or a strategy that you can implement. But only thing I ask is that you actually do it, because that's when you see the results, right? And when you see the results, when you apply it, call me, text me, send me a message, connect with me on one of these social platforms. You can find all my information at thesalesevangelist.com. But specifically, I want to talk to you about how do you approach executives when you are new to sales and you're intimidated by them. And I'm telling you, I was intimidated by these suckers, man. Imagine this. You're a young little whippersnapper. You get this lead to call this company. It's not a huge company, but you get connected with an executive, it's the CFO or the CEO or some kind of executive level position. In my mind, I'm thinking, what do I have to do? What can I say? I'm just this. I'm young. I've been in the business 6 months to a year, and now these guys have been selling or running their business for as long as I've been alive. What can I say to them? What can I bring to the table that's going to be effective? And I was intimidated. I felt like I wasn't worthy to be into their presence. And the things like that I thought like that is what held me back from really performing when I was able to connect with people who I classified as more important. I'm doing the quotation signs right here, like you can see me, but people who are more important than myself. And it was a limiting belief. It held me back. And obviously, I had worth, I had value, things that I could bring to the table. But this is what I did to help with that. And again, some of you may be new to sales, whether you were just fresh out of college or you just want to jump into it, or maybe you did a career change. You left, legal practice, or You left something else and now you're selling and you are in this field and you're trying to get help, trying to get the direction you need. So, or maybe you're just new to an industry. So here's what I would recommend. 3 things I would recommend. 1, you got to have a psychological change to help you realize that they're no different than you. I know it sounds very simple, and it's true. It is very simple. But I started to recognize that this executive, this CEO is no different than myself because 1, he bleeds just like I do, or she bleeds just like I do. 2, she or he, they're human beings. They're not this superhero. Before they got to this level in their company, they must have started out just like I did. When they go home, they have a family. They have lives. They probably like the Dolphins. I mean, we all love the Dolphins, right? If you're down in South Florida, they have a whole new stadium, so that's pretty cool. But, they're human beings as well. They have those things. They have insecurities themselves. They have concerns. They have worry. They have families that they have to worry about that may be working for them. They get nervous. They get afraid. They get shy. They get hungry. They get sick. All of these things, all of these elements, if you were to take them out of their CEO role or out of the executive role and put them on a street and, plain clothes just like you're out there, you would see them just like yourself. You probably would see them as no different. See them walking around the street in their, gym shorts or, a shirt running, and you're out there running. You see them as another runner, right? They do these activities. So why can't we see them just like that? When we get into the arena, so to speak, we get intimidated. And the problem is that's what holds us back. You truly have great value. You have something of worth. Your product or the company or the service you have to offer, it is of worth. The challenge, though, again, is that we put up these roadblocks. Now, hear the thing, hear me out on this one. You might think that they may know more than you do, but in actuality, they may be intimidated that you come in as a rep, an expert in your particular field. You may not know everything about their business, but you may know this little box right here. You know all about human resources. All about human resource management solution. You've been studying that. You know your product. You know your industry. You know how their problem is right now because you did your research before you met with them. You spoke with their lower level folks and you understand some of those difficulties that they may be facing, but they may be intimidated because they don't know anything about this. They just read the little marketing thing. So now in your mind, you're thinking, oh my goodness. And then in their mind, they're like, oh my goodness, he's going to try to swindle us because he knows more than I do. Think about it like that. Things like that do happen, So learn to see them just as human being like you are. One way you can do this is just start writing everything, all the human attributes that you know about them before you go get a chance to meet with them. You can go on LinkedIn or other places and just find things out about them. Find out about what they do. Find out about what they like, schools they went to. Do a little bit of research. If just make them human. Literally, just draw it out on a piece of paper and just say, I'm going to see Lisa over at XYZ company and just write out what you know about her. She's a human being. So, understand her in that light, and it may help you in a sense to have a better, meaningful conversation. The second thing that I think is probably one of the most important is to actually know what you're talking about. Every time I've been intimidated or been nervous, it always ties back to my confidence. And usually my confidence tend to go out the roof once I know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So think about this with your prospects. If you know what you're talking about, you have a knowledge, you studied, you learned, you understood their challenge, you studied with their lower level management folks, you did your research, you came to the table with information, you practice your presentation. We always talk about that. Don't go out there be winging it. You can't wing it. No more winging it. You have to come to the table prepared. So therefore, you need to practice. The more confident you are, the more you practice, the more confident you will be. You will be able to say and to perform like an expert because you will be an expert because you know it. You're an expert on that topic. And that's all you need to be an expert on right now. Don't need to be an expert on everything in their business, just the main things that apply to you. It's important to gain a greater understanding of the industry and of their business. But again, you need to have expertise in HR if you're doing HR, on recruiting if you're doing recruiting, on sales tools if you're selling sales tool, if you're sales training, if you're selling sales training, and how you're going to help them with growth and revenue, on the software for their human capital, whatever that is, that's what you need to be an expert on and how it applies to them. And the third thing that I thought would be most effective was to sit down with executives. If you don't have an executive in your network, get on LinkedIn, and I'm sure some of them will be flattered. You may not get the CEO of Microsoft sitting down to chat with you, but if you do have that, that's great. But maybe you find a local executive, one of your clients, someone that you know who's an executive at an organization, and you can ask them, what are some of the things that you want sales reps to know before they sit down with you? What are some of the things that you want them to be prepared to talk about? Or just plainly ask them, I get intimidated talking to you guys. What can I do to not be intimidated when I meet with an executive? And I promise you, they're going to say, come prepared, and you won't be intimidated. You'll have a meaningful discussion. speak their language, and you'll have a great time. I promise you that helps. It helped me a lot. So those 3 things, let me recap them again. 1 is to see them just like you. They're human beings. They go out run as well. They have personal lives. 2, be confident in your material. Know it. Own it. Believe it. Be an expert. And then the 3rd thing is to make sure that you get an opportunity to practice. Sit down with executives. Find some executives that you know you can sit down and talk to and just learn from them what are the things that sales rep need to know, and then how you can not get so intimidated in front of them. And they'll probably give you some keen insight as well that tie back to some of these. If you'd like to learn more and to get this, if you're running right now, you're jogging, you're walking, you're in the grocery store, didn't get a chance to write these down, don't you worry. We got this for you. Just simply go to thesalesevangelist.com/the word episode, the number 392. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/the word episode, the number 392. All in all, I want you to be successful. I want you to be happy. I don't want you to be intimidated. But most importantly, I want you to go out and do big things. If you enjoyed this here, you're gonna love the next episode. Stay tuned for a little listen.
I think you build a much more effective and a much more loyal team if you guys really feel like you're in it together. If you want to be a dictator, if you're hiring people to dig ditches, sure, you can be a dictator and tell them, okay, that's where I want the ditch dug and that's how long I want it dug.